Do you see an element of projection in the master cook?
Yes.
Yeah. What all things he did for that? Come on, just you know this, but somebody you say that. Because every time we are going in high gravity. So let us have a little bit of a simple session. The master cook had a projection, right? Sorry, the cook had a projection. What was that?
To be the greatest samurai.
All right, now you go on telling what all he tried. You see what all he tried, what all variations he tried. You see?
Yeah. In secret, he was learning.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's proceed.
He was taking. Um, he was fighting with the other samurais in
Yeah.
secret. Then he quit the existing position and he moved out of the existing place. Shogun moved out from that comfort zone. Then he went on a trip, and wherever he met other samurais, he was fighting them.
Ramesh, it was not going on a trip. He went to settle in another place. All right. Okay.
He went to settle in another place, and there continuously he wanted to establish himself as the greatest samurai. So every single action of his was in terms of moving in that particular direction, and ultimately he wanted to take the fight against mm, um, the the shogun. No? Yeah, shogun.
Okay. Okay. Stop there. Take only the relevant part. Yeah. Actually, Ramesh, it was not ultimately because that was the first time he met a samurai in the new place. That's all. Okay, good. All right. That means he used the first opportunity itself in the new place. Okay, good. Because he already had some 5, 6 experiences, and as soon as the first opportunity came, he picked it up. That was his problem also, Ramesh. You know. Because apparently he was in that new place at least for about 2, 3 months because he had to be familiar with the place, etc. Whether had he met a samurai, then also perhaps he would have done that. Anyway, because of his projected identity of a samurai, the very first opportunity when he came across a samurai, he did that. That was his blunder, actually. But anyway, that is not the issue in our discussion. He projected and he did everything very sincerely, very truthfully, very dedicatedly, very elegantly. That's what we have to look at it. It's a marvelous example, actually, of that human power of projection and how to devise every frame of action, every doing towards the uh, uh, manifestation of that projection on the screen of existence. On the screen of existence, Parvati. Here the screen is existence. It is an extreme example because he did all extreme steps, of course. Dangerous, risky steps. And because he was watching a master, uh, can you identify that? Can you see that he got opportunity to observe variations in practicing the sword? Do you get the question? Do
I
you get the
needed one.
question?
No, 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 sir.
No, sir.
No. We said that using even the metaphor of the film, or even the normal experience of people. 25 years of teaching, the teacher is the same. 25 years of manager, the manager is the same. Those who are different, they become the vice president. All right. It is there. Experience doesn't add to anybody anything. Right. So there should be variation of every significant frame of action. In case of the cook, he had the luck or the blessing or the opportunity to practice variations. How? Variation meaning improvements. How? How could he do that?
With
What was how
Sir,
he was able to
improvements.
do it? Eh?
Sir, a question. Improvements in sword play, is it?
Yeah, how he could do that?
By observing different people sparring with master and themselves.
Exactly, beautiful. Yeah, because there were different grades of disciples. Oh, Tintin, wonderful.
I've been seeing a few samurai movies now, sir, to appreciate the sword play.
But out of that, you cannot say this. All right, good. This is the way, even when he is disqualifying what you said, you know, I am projecting the beauty of what he did. See,
Yes,
Nitya,
sir.
Meenakshi, when I said this, yes, actually underplaying what I said by saying that I could say that because I see a lot of films on samurais. But actually, he could say that not because of that. He could see the referent of what happened in the monastery.
Yeah, actually, I was visualizing that right now, sir. What you said.
Actually,
I was visualizing what you said right now when I
that
answered.
that okay. But what you said is okay, beautiful. But all right. So I suppose others understood what I said. All right.
No, what I
yes,
meant was not the movies, but I was visualizing the different practices when I said this.
That is true. I'm telling how the cook got the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
What was that? Okay. How could okay? Repeat the question. How could the cook get opportunity to practice different methods?
By watching different trainees train spar with themselves and the master.
Different trainees meaning what difference?
Different levels of
Yeah,
competences.
exactly. Yes, correct. So that kind of variations. And what all things he did, for that, like Meenakshi's language inspiration or Parvati's language of will. When they have that will, what all variations he tried. But there was an opportunity. But maybe in an organization you may not get that opportunity, though there is that opportunity. In an organization, there is the immediate boss, then the vice president, then the general manager, then the CEO. But normally, you may not get an opportunity to personally observe what they are doing. But yet, there is a way. You can always imagine. Here comes imagination. What is imagination? Imagination is always about. It also involves an element of projection. In fact, projection itself involves imagination and visualization. But the imagination is about what something else is doing. Get the point?
Yes, sir.
Image. Having images. Of course, that something else can be you also, but imagination. So you can imagine because you know the role. You can know what are the possible, probable for role functions and responsibilities and type of work your next level boss, whom you do not directly see what his doings, the likely activities of the CEO or the director or the whoever, because you know the organization. Most people in an organization, they don't try to see the entire organization. They just focus on their work, their department, not even their department. Forget about that. Only very rarely an employee will try to visualize what the total organization is doing, what his boss is doing, what the super boss is doing. Nothing. They just focus on their work and they may be doing it maybe perfectly. But you have to imagine what could be the possible when you do a action. You know what are the difficulties or what are the linkages, what are the details involved. Then you can think, okay, my boss is in charge of me and five people like me. What would be going on in his mind? What would be his doing? What would be his attention, etc., etc. What would be the attention, etc., doing, etc., of the vice president? What could be of the CEO? Just imagine. Don't insist on correctness. Now, modern there are studies in Stanford University Department of Psychology. They say that the modern children never imagine, Ramesh. Oh, what is it? There is a test called the thematic apperception test. She knows that, right? Yeah. Henry Murray, one of the great psychologists, devised it. So somebody just thought of giving. Nowadays, nobody does this. Somebody in Stanford University Department of Psychology just about 6 months back or so, just took the old. It is all now out of fashion. Thematic apperception test. It is called. They just gave it to, I think, grade 6, 7, and 8. Meenakshi, no element of imagination, Meenakshi. What a tragedy. What is there to imagine? You have the smartphone, you have the laptop, you have the TV. What is there to imagine? Your imagination, everything gets blocked by continuous observation of these TV programs, what you call Cartoon Network, etc. They're all big, highly designed thing by people sitting together and worked out. You cannot do anything close to that. So that itself is a tremendous work. To enjoy that itself is a tremendous job. Anyway,
There are, it's a new business where they will do the projects of school kids. So kids need not do anything. There are companies who will do that in the most perfect way, and then teachers accept it also.
yeah, Parvati, that has been going on. I don't know what you're referring to schools. I know, Parvati, for the last more than 15 years in engineering colleges, all the so-called summer projects, internship projects were prepared by
Somebody
companies.
else.
In Coimbatore alone, there are 7 companies employing average 5 to 6 people. In fact, one of my recent trainees, an MTech girl named Divya, in fact, Meenakshi has seen her. She was working in that company. There are about 21 engineering colleges in Coimbatore alone. Their job was doing project only. I mean, they write the projects.
Sir, the worst is
Nowadays, it is taught about distance education. I think in the last 2 days, somebody came here from Coimbatore and said, "Oh, sir, my wife is all the time working. We have 2 children going into some school. My wife is fully engaged in doing their projects. It's a so-called top schools. There are an average minimum 2 assignments every day for each one of them. They just don't do it." Now, what is you think what will be the future? By the way, Parvati, when you said this, it is being done somewhere in places where you know.
Yeah, one of my colleagues was telling about how she gives to a company her kids' projects.
Oh,
That's when I didn't know about this.
Yeah, that's what is going on, Bhavati.
So there are professional organizations running, writing the PhD theses and all the assignments for various students in different universities.
Yeah.
So it is, and even in the schools, I was surprised. Like sometimes they watch the video of a kid reading a textbook which they are supposed to read. So instead of actually reading, they are watching a video of somebody else reading it like that.
Very surprising.
Oh
So
God.
that's that is also, in fact, to talk about it in a different way. I envisage a future within about 10 years. You will become, guides for maybe it's a kind of an exaggerated projection. Thousands of children and parents in the world, because it's all kind of a tipping point. It is gradually boiling up. There will come a real tipping point where a great majority of people will collapse. Already there is depression. Then what I want to suggest, I am of course suggest only, if there is an opportunity comes, take it up. Let some 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 people be benefited by you. Not thousands, I just mentioned. Only those people who are eligible, let them be benefited. It would be imperative, no doubt about that. We can see, I can see that. I can clearly see that. February 2019, you can go and see my Facebook. I have already written clearly that this virus will not go. March 2019, I have put in my Facebook. There will be, in the future, people will be walking around with a mask and social distancing. And then February itself, in the end, I have written very clearly, detailed in Facebook where this virus was made and that it is an artificially created virus. It's a biological weapon. With all codes, I have written. I say this partly as a sales talk to inspire you to have a part projection of the tree of your existence, one more branch of your projection as a mystic of the future. Be ready. If there's a chance, just do it. Help at least one other person to see the light of meaning and truth in their existence. That's all. And I'm sure it will inevitably happen. Otherwise, why this is happening? But I only want to say that if it comes, do not hesitate to take it up. That's all what I said. All right. Coming back, imagination. The other day, Nitya was telling that she would imagine. No. Then I also told. Sometimes, when you go to sleep, because we are all working people, 2 minutes, just imagine you are flying in the air. Just like that. Why these modern children in Stanford University sample, they, they did this test for about 850 students. Why they are not able to do that? Because they don't have to. Even at the time of sleep, they are watching mobile phones. That's why. They are having what in psychology called vicarious satisfaction of seeing somebody else's imagination. So meaningful. They might feel it very meaningful. That's the tragedy. That is the tragedy, Ramesh. They might feel it very enthusiastic, very enjoyable to see cartoons or other things moving. Then they work hard to imagine they flying in the air, which you cannot, which is not easy to feel to begin with. In fact, every day for the last 20, 30 years, that is my pastime as I go to sleep. It is so beautiful, so enjoyable, so wonderful. Wow. I do it for at least 1 or 2 hours. Even in no sleep, I will just go down and sleep. I will lie down. Lying down is closed eyes is the most conducive time. Just like that, you can do many mysterious ways of imagining. Not for anything. It's a good experience. Once in a while, you just do that, and when you do that, do something very mysterious. Just like that. For 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, as I told you, when you do that, there's a very strange autonomic nervous system process happening. That's all. You are putting the gear of a wonderful process given to your entity by the grand, benevolent nature process. It is not given to the cats, apparently, to the other beings, you see. Such a wonderful possibility is there. Why not? But as I told you, why the modern children cannot do it is also because of the science. Now, why should I do that? And on top of that, modern children do not do that because in the past, children were told a lot of stories by the mother, by the father, or by the elder sister, or younger, or whoever, fairy tales and little bit of stories. Now, no storytelling, nothing. Have you noticed the mysterious wonder? I don't know whether you have done that. The mothers in the group. You can talk the let us say the fairy tale Sleeping Beauty, for example, to a 2-year-old child. Does it understand anything? Nothing. But it will go on saying, hmm, and if you stop it, Amma, yeah, please say. It doesn't understand what you call the little slipper putting on to what you call Cinderella, right? Who had that little small shoe?
Cinderella.
Cinderella.
It doesn't understand what happens with a small shoe. It is made of glass, etc. It doesn't know any of those things. But to see the great magic. Oh, it is. When I think about, I am feeling bloody lost. What a great wonder! A 2-year-old child is listening completely. Vikramadityan stories, so ridiculous, mysterious. It doesn't comprehend anything, but that is the facility of the human wonder. So Parvati also, I am telling you, you have a very magnificent child. Tell her all kinds of mysterious stories. Just do not try her to make an ordinary girl. I am sure you will not. Perhaps you are already doing that, but I just am inspired to talk to you because you are the only one in the group with a little baby.
Master,
Yeah.
when my daughter was little, until the age, I think 7, every day we used to go to bed by reading a story every single day, and so that was a very important ritual for us to read a story together.
That's why she is very extraordinary today, very obviously, and she is doing one of the most extraordinary jobs in the whole world. In fact, Meenaksh's daughter, I don't know how many individuals, countable individuals in the whole world. You look at the whole world, how many people. Her job is she is working in archiving old films
Wow.
from the beginning of the history of films, archiving in digital form, Nitya. What a unique job. And she is the boss. She writes the salary and takes it, and she has 3 assistants. She writes the salary. Absolute freedom. What a beauty. She can see entire history. I don't know what she will be doing after 10 years. She can write a book on the history of films, the most authentic book on films. What a correlation. And she is a very independent girl. She is unusual. In the road where she lives in Bangalore, any stray dog is her guest.
Mhm.
She spends a lot of money to take street dogs in accidents or problems. She hires a taxi or what you call an auto, takes that dog and takes it to the veterinary hospital, treats it, and takes care of it until it is okay, and then somebody else takes it. So
Great.
that is all. When girls of her age, with her background, she was been to various countries in the world. Of course, she is very rich by having very rich parents, and she has all the facility to freak out. She is the only child. Her parents are very rich in the sense, in that sense, but she never takes any extra money from them. So it is all definitely due to, let me tell you, Meenakshi, only due to that, not because of any bloody education or anything. Only because of that stories. It is not into a 2-year-old child's mind, the contents of the story is not going. The child, when she is listening to that, some process is happening. I told you every moment the central nervous system is active. So long as the child is listening to you, there are neuronal processes happening. Every neuronal process is adding on. It is not a same flywheel rotating in the same place. It is not, central nervous system is not a flywheel. That also. Mantra is a miracle. Mantra Rishika. In 1 year time, she mastered Malayalam language from nothingness.
So
And she got
that's
100% A plus in Malayalam, a complex language, because her mother used to tell her all the what you call Panchadandram stories, then what you call all the stories of Kottarathil Sangunni. What is that book?
Aidihemala.
Aidihemala, to my knowledge. And then she read a lot of fairy tales and other books, and Amaya had already read some 200 fairy tales, and he used to tell all those to her. That's all. So always, as mystic leaders, always try to see when you look at a person, don't do you focus your attention just beyond. Like yesterday, Vinay was talking. Your attention should be focused a little bit about 3 inches inside of that person. Never look straight on the peripheral face. You see, rather your gaze should be little within that person. And see who is talking. The talking is done by that internal being. Whatever that person talks or behaves or responds, they are all nothing but what you call results of so-called neuro-linguistic programming that happened at home. Whatever that person talking. Others are neuronal behavioral patterns, neuronal expression patterns, neuronal ways of mindsets about people, and neuronal programs of languageification, wordification. That's all. So try to see a person as nothing but an embodiment of the central nervous system. Or remind yourself, or remember to look at another person as an embodiment of central nervous system processes. That's all. There will not be anything visible. And you should have the capability to focus attention on something unclear. Because all the time our attention is happy or the self feel happy only if there is a result of the attention process. Why people are not able to focus attention on the trees and the plants and the mountains and the rivers and the mist and the clouds? It doesn't talk back. That is why. Don't ever expect the tree to talk back. Just see the tree. Keep your gaze on the tree just like that for hours together. I wonder if you were here, I would have taken you to do that. It is not easy. I know that. Even today, after 6 7 years, I can look at the trees here for hours together. Same trees. That is because I do not expect the return. I do not. That's not the way I have trained my system. You should also be like that. Look at a plant as you go out, as you walk out. Look, don't see. Of course, you see that sometimes. But there's a lot of difference between seeing and looking. Seeing, if the eyes are open, 100 people passing through, you will see them, of course. But look for a millisecond. Of course, you are walking to the office. You are walking from the door of the house to the courtyard, the gate. But whatever there, you look only. Choose to look at it one plant a day. One plant, then you are walking, then the next plant nearby, or another huge plant a little 10 feet away, or a tree 10, 15 feet away. But have a look. Train yourself, remind yourself to do that. It is very difficult. You are happy to look even at a stranger human being. Or maybe to look at a cat or a dog on the road, because that's the training of the human being. Other things are all not in this world. Look at the concept of the ridiculous bloody God. The God of only human beings. What a God is that God? What about the countless varieties of plants and animals and all those things? They are all waste materials. So the God created only human beings? So, or the God is a God of only human beings? If there's a God, so-called God, if they want to insist, it's a God of even a small insect on the ground. Am I right, Naveen? 100%.
Yes, sir. Exactly, sir.
I would say even you look at a small insect crawling on the ground, look at it. Perhaps you may, what do you call, place your leg on that. Or you may avoid it. But you choose to have your will to control your attention to look. At least in a gap of 2-3 minutes average. Then you see, I'm sure you will gradually come to a point where you simply feel wonderful about you. That's what I feel. If I conceptualize it. Whether I feel it or not, I don't know. But I don't know. There's a bloody unaffected, unshakableness. The catness. Every cat is that. Every bird is that. Right now we have a mother cat. It is not a normal domestic cat. It's a cat of it is a forest region. So that cat is almost like even if it is hungry to death, it won't take rice. And Nitya, I feel ridiculous. That cat will sit at a place for hours together waiting for a squirrel to come. There were plenty of squirrels in my neighborhood, which was actually a disturbance also because it would cut the wire of the jeep and all that. Now, not a single squirrel around, but still I can see how patiently it is waiting for hours together. Even if it looks so thin, it has two kittens, it doesn't even take the milk. So, because it will take, it has been trained like that. What? Okay, that's all. A different story. Because it takes only these wild creatures. That is the background of the cats in this location. So, coming back, imagination. And then imagination can go a little bit. The problem with the cook was he imagined that the life of a samurai is wonderful. He imagined that the Master Kyosan was feeling top of the world because he visited the emperor or emperor visited him. He imagined the possible, probable self-image, the feeling, the whatever thrill, whatever, whatsoever, that self-image of the Master Kyosan. No, whether it worked negatively or positively, that's a different question. The power of imagination. And do you know, all that you enjoy in the so-called stories, fiction, films, they are all the result of imagination only. All the so-called painting, even creation of dance, theater, they are all based on imagination, see, which all of us enjoy, am I right? You see how the wonder of imagination is working inside every human being. I don't know whether Naveen may not be familiar. There are hundreds of films. Everybody talks about Mohanlal. Then somebody is narrating the story of a film. Then Mohanlal came and Mohanlal talked to Nayanadara. They don't talk about the character name. They don't even remember. By the way, Naveen Mohanlal is a Malayalam actor.
Yes, sir. We know it.
Yeah.
He's a popular.
They
He's a very
don't.
popular.
They just don't remember the character name. But see, they know that it is Mohanlal, and film starts within 1 second. The people, anybody on the road is able to continue with the image that this Mohanlal is that character in that film. There is most of the time there is not even makeup change. That is the power of imagination. They can instantly imagine Mohanlal as what you call, I don't know what are the films. Yeah, whatever the character, Aran Tamburan or Eran Tamburan or Ettan Tamburan, or instantly they can imagine.
Pulimurigan.
Puli Murugan and all that.
Your duty.
That is the wonder of imagination. Only very rarely there is any serious makeup. Only when he takes up the role of a very elderly person or something like that. Otherwise, a small change in hairstyle or small costume, different. I mean, costume meaning pants and shirts maybe of a young man or something. That's all. And when I have heard umpty number of this, they talk about the story as then Mohanlal, 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 not Pulimurugan. Mohanlal is acting as Pulimurugan. But when somebody talks the story, they say Mohanlal went there and etc. etc. Even when there is such a concrete evidence of a person of another identity taking that role, people are genuinely able to enjoy that person in this role position. Even without a drastic makeup. This is the ultimate example of imagination. That's what I'm telling you. Then why this n number of audience is able to imagine about himself or somebody and gradually become that? Because they don't have the daring to imagine, Naveen. The n number of so-called locus people, despite all government initiatives, they don't have that something to imagine themselves as, somebody. Because historical burden is working as a logic against it. A normal average TC, when an IT company takes 300 people at a time. One of them is capable of imagining that I am going to be the project leader. And he or she becomes that. That's all. Finished. Because that imagination is that an English word, but that is processed by most powerful neuronal system in the cerebral cortex. There is especially imagination. There's a huge bundle of nerves called corpus callosum, which connects the right brain to the left brain, or both. In imagination, in the so-called left brain rational idea is taken to the right brain. Actually, it has been, now it's all understood. Brain is a very research term. It's a huge process because imagination cannot be done according to actual brain, electronically proved research, cannot be done by the left side of the brain. Imagination can be done only by the right side of the brain. Where all the other greater engines are available. For it's beyond the box operations to fly, the flight of the kite. And of course, I think there are so many mental blocks which would prevent imagining. Because a normal fresh MBA graduate will not be, he may say outside, after 10 years I will become I want to see, there's a normal stupid question in interview boards now in managerial. After 10
Yes.
years, where would you like to be? Blah, 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 nonsense.
Yes, sir.
So I will see myself as a general manager. Of course, there's a philosophy behind that question. 100 people selected, all the 100 would say that. Only one will become because there's only one place. I mean, the other people are all simply saying empty language, that's all. Secretly, they are all severe mental blocks to see oneself as a project leader after 1 year. Because as I told you the other day, every human conscience was an internal validating process based on various factors, experiences, etc., self-image, self-concept, all kinds of family, history, cultural, community background, etc., working as a mental trap. Though he may say powerfully say outside that I see myself as a general manager in 10 years, internally he knows that it may not work because of the logic. Let it be there. It can be there even in anybody's mind. Take it, just brush it away because that's a logic. You read a newspaper report about something happened in Los Angeles. Does it affect you? No. Take such blocking thoughts only as that, Vinay. Get the point. That blocking thought may disturb you. And let take it as a disturbing news about a rape happened in Delhi. Finished. Don't do not own it. Get the point.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Do not reject it. When you reject it, it becomes all the more powerful. You say, yeah, I feel. You say, I feel sad. That's all. Don't reject your sadness. When you reject your sadness, it will try to reinforce itself. Undergo that. After 10 minutes, after half an hour, you will forget that you were sad. Finished. So all contradicting logic that happen to enter into your body because of the stupid external media and other environment, it may definitely come and disturb you. Take it as newspaper reports. Finished. Newspaper reports also affect you sometimes, am I right?
Yes, sir. It
Yeah,
happens.
that's all. It doesn't affect you deeply because you know that it's a newspaper report, it happened elsewhere. So after 1 day or 2 days, 3 days, its impact is lost. Similarly, a disturbing thought, you take it as a thought that you got from somewhere. Let it be there for some day. Okay, finished. Go. When you become worried about that, when you become obsessed about that, your attention goes there and blocks it.
Hmm.
Don't focus your attention. That's all. Finished. Let it be there.
Yes.
So we just, I'm going to this details because many other things are already discussed. So projection is very important. Imagination we talked. Attention we are a little bit clear. 10 minutes more for 10:30. What about no, visualization? What is visualization? Visualize, vision. Visualize. Visualize meaning you it is little complex and difficult than imagination. Imagination is a concept driven quick process.
Yeah.
It is almost like a, newspaper report. Occasionally there will be images, then mostly there will be running thoughts only. That's called
Yes.
imagination. But visualization is like a film. Every detail, for example, if you are visualizing like a mystic leader, you can do only one talk. Let's say, as a mystic leader, you are standing on a stage and giving a talk. Because visualization needs, it is visualizing a continuous event as it happens. Whereas you can imagine as a mystic leader, you go to US, you go to Delhi, you go to here, you are known as a mystic leader. You know, it is very sporadic statements here and there with one occasional photographs of you as a mystic leader, something like that. Whereas visualization meaning really seeing you as a mystic leader. Seeing is possible only in terms of actual reality. That means visualizing. That means seeing. So you can see when you that seeing is real, you can see only given slice of action. Imagination, you can suddenly go from Delhi to what you
Welcome.
call Los Angeles, then back to Coronado, back to Kochi, back to Darwin. But visualization from Darwin to Kochi will take your preparing the what you call baggage. That alone will take half an hour. Booking the tickets, calling the taxi, all this will take its time. Uh, then moving in the taxi towards the airport, showing the tickets to the whatever, walking through the then waiting in the whatever room, then the check-in point, then entering the aircraft, then sitting in your seat. These are all the visual. These are the visualization, meaning seeing what is physically real. So visualization can be done only for, according to the time available, a certain slice of actual step-by-step movements. Okay, you can skip certain steps, okay. Visualization is the next step which you can try as you go to sleep. Just like you're standing before on a stage, okay, with a microphone in front, and you're talking to an audience, and give that talk. A 1 minute talk. So, projection, visualization, imagination. Is that clear? So,
Yes,
these
sir.
are the three uh, complex neuronal process. Relatively complex. Of course, the attention, perception, cognition are also complex, but that is very normally happening, and yeah, it will the neuronal network will be expanded according to the things you cognize or perceive, and so on and so forth. Then conceptualization also, of course, you have done a lot of conceptualization when you make presentations, uh, and you may have to do a little more conceptualization. We can do here also, and when we come to the next stages, then you have to do. You don't have to do concept. You can do a lot of reconceptualization. Take a given idea, any idea, maybe some complex idea, maybe from one or two statements of Jesus or Buddha or Werner Heisenberg or Plato or Aristotle or Buddha, and reconceptualize it in your words uh, without losing the essence or improving the essence or maintaining the essence. So try that. You know, conceptualization you almost always do, even otherwise. But reconceptualization, you will really try in our next meeting. So, if you get time, you try to reconceptualize one statement. Write down. You have to make your presentation next time. That is in quotes. Actually, it should be quoted in quote. The scale, SCALE, the scale of observation creates the phenomenon. It's a statement by the great Nobel Prize winning physicist Werner Heisenberg. The scale of observation creates the phenomenon. That's already a conceptualization by him. You have to reconceptualize it. That means you have to, first of all, you have to write a similar sentence. It can have more words than this. but it is just a one sentence which can be interpreted to have a focus on whatever is implied by the concept, the scale of observation creates the phenomenon. All right. Anything else?
So just one comment about the will.
Okay.
The will also depend on the inspiration about a particular thing, the
I,
will to do something.
it can depend on, of course. Definitely, yes.
Yes.
It depends upon the kind of context and theme. For example,
Yes.
Rangan here.
Mhm.
Whatever be the cold, whatever be the rain, he will get up and go. Nobody else in this world does that, actually. I don't know whether there is no inspiration or anything. It is his, that is his character, actually, which he has been doing over the last so many years. It is no, I don't think it is even a habit. For example, yesterday evening, night, it was drizzling. So 10 o'clock, 10:30, Elamaya. Yeah. We saw
Yeah,
somebody coming
yeah.
with the light, and I saw this guy coming 10:30 night.
What?
Actually, I don't know. I did not talk to him, and Amaya talked to him, and Amaya said he gave some answers which he did not understand. Anyway,
It was
but
almost 12, 12.
not 10, 12:30, yeah. 12:30 night. And he must be around 76, 77.
Sir, I heard one person saying when you have to do something, don't make a decision about that. Like, for instance, if you want to go for walk, just go for walk. Don't make a choice about whether to walk or not. That is,
I don't know. I mean, he was
yeah.
referring to a certain context. Those who are confused about what to do or not.
Mm.
So, if you want to go for a walk, you go for a walk. All right. A lot of people want to go for a walk, but they do not. So, to such a person, you tell if you want to go for a walk, do you think he will go? You tell that person what you read from somewhere. Will he do that? Do you think?
No,
Uh,
sir.
if that person is a close friend or something, he may listen.
He may listen, but morning, early morning, 6 o'clock, he is comfortably under the blanket. He may not do that.
Mm.
But you are a person with a tremendous will, so you have no problem. So identify that, and in your case, that is what one thing which I want you to remember. Every one of you must be extraordinary also. Then what you tell other people will carry little more impression in their minds. But you want to become extraordinary not for that, but with that also. And every one of you is. Sometimes they may not know. Many of I don't know whether Nitya's friends know about you. They might be seeing, but they may not be conceptualizing. As I understand from whatever Nitya occasionally reports to me, she is obviously living a very extraordinary life, doing many, many things. She has a lot of friends. I don't know. They will all be seeing that they may not be noticing. That also requires another power of conceptualization. Many people live with wonderful people, behave with wonderful people. They don't know it. For example, I have worked at IIM at XLRA. I told you, IIM in IIM Ahmedabad, I created a group of something like 35 students, including for doctoral students. Every evening, not every evening, at least twice a week, in the evening, we will be sitting around in the Louis Kahn Plaza in front of the courtyard. Nobody has asked me a question what I am doing. They see that because most people go by that place only. Meenakshi, you know Louis Kahn Plaza, right? Yeah.
I have seen pictures of it. I have not been
Entire
there.
students go through that way. Entire faculty members pass through that way. They all know me because I was the editor of the journal. I have edited the article of most of the articles I only have edited. So they are very close with me. Even then, when I show them the edited version of their article, because I remember an incident, because the other day when we were discussing, he was almost passing nearby because his daughter also was there. So she was playing with some ball, and that roll came and near us. Then he came near us and took the ball, and he looked at all of them. And then I introduced, this is Professor such and such a person. So even then, the next day when I showed him the edited article, he did not ask me what I was doing. That's all. So sometimes you may have to say, I do that, Nitya. That's all. Because that's what because the attention of most people are so vague, Nitya. They are all just walking robots, In fact, that is not the normal distribution principle. It is a psychologically proved, n number of times proved principle. Even in my data on mindset analysis of 23,000 people, I don't know whether you have that book.
Yes.
Very surprisingly, 97% of the sample have medium to serious mental blocks. That 97% is very important, exactly the normal distribution. Wonderful as a theory. But I wonder about this remaining 97 people, 97% of people. They are all highly qualified, BTech, MBA, just that, 10 years of experience in companies, etc., etc. But their mental trap situation is quite that of very ordinary people. I wonder how they are working. Even Tintin used to tell me, he had only surprises. He used to tell me how these idiots are my bosses. As far as I remember from his report, every boss he reported to is ridiculously useless nincompoop. He had appreciation, to my knowledge, only to one person. I think he was the very owner of the company, one of the owners. I also asked the question as a researcher. I have so many managers. I don't remember having. Let me tell you, I don't remember having come across a manager who talks something great about his or her boss.
Yeah, true.
And they're all living a happy life. Feel very good about them, very confident. Because they are not sensitive, their attention does not go beyond a certain close boundary, Nitya. That's all, very simple. They are all suffering from what I call attention deficit syndrome. They have attention deficit syndrome. They know only that much, like people who drive the car without knowing anything. They are very good in driving, that's all. They do not know how to sometimes even change the tire properly. They are logically absolutely convinced. I am driving. All the purposes of driving I fulfill. I reach places, I have, etc., etc. Strongly convinced. Then how can we tell them that, if you also know about the pulse of the engine and the clutch and the gearbox and the wheels on the road, touching and all that, it's a different experience. And then they may try and they are awaiting a major experience the first time itself, then what to do? That will happen only after 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Because of the speed trap, they expect immediate consequence, Nitya. That's the problem with today's world. Be careful. For example, I am sure you don't feel, you said, how far the audience of that Bahrain program, I am sure it has impacted every one of them. But they are not able to, it will take some time for them to digest. That's why. And if the so-called adults listen to that, it will not work anything in them because they immediately comprehend, finished. Whereas the students, because they could not comprehend, little bit of more attention and some reflective thinking will inevitably ensue. Whereas for the adults, they immediately comprehended, aha, oh, that is familiarity trap, finished, nothing. They will not escape from their familiarity trap. Even if every one of them appreciate your program and give you an A plus for rating, they will not benefit out of that because it is heard and understood.
Actually, I didn't understand anything after I heard your first program, sir. When I attended in Cochin University long time ago, I tried to talk about it to some people, but I was not able to say anything. But only thing I felt, I remember, was a tremendous energy at the end of it, and um,
That's all. That's all.
yeah, that's
That
all.
is
Yeah,
that is the neuronal changes. The program was supposed to be stopped at 6 o'clock actually,
yeah,
from morning 9 to 6 p.m. And the program extended up to every day average 12 o'clock in the night. Am I right?
yes,
Why they sat? I did not tell them to sit and all that. That is the evidence of neuronal expansion. But they are trying to, but they want to accommodate into some learned bullet point principles. Learned bullet point principles will never work, Nitya. It will never work. Because there is no attention, there is no reflective attention paid into that, knowingly or unknowingly. That's what one incident narrated by Vinay Lal or what I told. That daughter of Dr. P.M. Matthew Vellore, you know, Nitya knows, the number one psychologist in Kerala state. She was not at all willing to marry. I did not say a single sentence about marriage or getting married. But I said certain things which she did not really comprehend. I remember she stopped and asked me, what did you say? I said, no, 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 nothing. Okay, let us continue. By third month, she decided to marry. That's all. I always tell Veena, create a surprise. It is not my sentence. It is a sentence by most of the creativity trainers. Your program should end up with some mystery. But it has its own negative consequences. At the end of the program, they may write a negative review about your program. And they will benefit after 2 years or 3 years. And by that time, we are out of the company. In fact, Narayana Murthy personally wanted me to be the trainer for Infosys. Long-term contract. I said, sir, no long-term contract. Let me try for 1 year. I did some 13 programs. All the 13 programs were rated the lowest.
Oh God.
That's all. And after 2 years, after 3 years, somebody would call me from Seattle or New Delhi, sir, now I remember, what blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we don't care. So that's all. That you also have to be careful. So be strategic. I don't want to be strategic, but I want you to be a little bit strategic. Say something which they can feel happy about. and in between mix 2-3 doses of significant dialogues. That's enough. So you have done a wonderful program, Nitya. You don't know that you will know. Perhaps some of them may even call you, or they may not call you. You read so many wonderful books and feel thrilled, but do you call the author or say something? No. So they may not call you. That's a different issue. So be like you. What you said is the ultimate measure of the talk. You felt happy. You enjoyed the program, right?
Yes.
That's all. That is the ultimate measure. Whether they enjoyed or not is not your concern. You enjoyed meaning your that inner evaluating, so analyzing agent told you, yeah, 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 you are doing wonderful. That's all. They may never call you again, maybe for a program, but you enjoyed. That's the measure of what you do. And you can be absolutely sure every low performer in the world is not at all enjoying their work. They just mechanically do, get the salary, and they go home. That is why they have all kinds of depression and illness and meaninglessness. Hooligans. They're all hooligans. Just ordinary people. Let them take 2 pecks, then you will know what they are. You go to their homes and ask their wives and children, then you will know what they are. Yes. Every child knows really what his father or mother is. But they may not show that because they are very dependent. But they know. Why in the modern times so many so-called elderly people are abandoned? It is because of the problem of the so-called elderly only. They were all retired chief justice, retired CEO, divisional manager of this bank, that bank, but they are all just nobody. They are all just peripheral, filthy people.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, wonderful. So,
Thank you, sir.
good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Good
Good
night,
night, sir.
sir. Thank you,
Good
sir.
night.
Good night.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Bye,
Good night,
everybody.
all.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Good
you,
night, all.
sir.
Good night,
Good
sir.
night,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
Parvati.
Bye.
Bye, Parvati.
Bye.
Bye, Vinay. Bye, Meenakshi. Bye,
Bye,
Anuratha. Bye,
sir.
Tintin.